sometimes places people in our path who seem to take pleasure in our pain. Narcissists leave a trail of confusion, manipulation, and heartbreak, and in the aftermath, it is natural to feel anger, betrayal, and a desire for justice. But the human instinct to retaliate often leads to more suffering, keeping us trapped in the cycle they designed for us. True liberation does not come from striking back. It comes from surrendering the need for revenge to a higher power. There is a force greater than human schemes, a divine presence that sees every slight, every lie, every hidden wound. It does not miss a single detail, and it does not act with haste or impulsivity. Instead, it orchestrates outcomes with precision, ensuring that those who have harmed us face the consequences in ways that are measured, inevitable, and far beyond what we could engineer ourselves. Understanding this does not make the pain vanish overnight, but it changes how we relate to it. It allows us to step out of the role of victim and into the role of witness, trusting that the universe or God has a plan far larger than our immediate perception. It is in this surrender, this act of releasing control, that we begin to heal. We reclaim our power not by confronting the narcissist directly, but by letting a higher justice unfold. Knowing that every act of harm will eventually meet its rightful consequence, there is a profound sense of relief that comes from realizing that we do not have to carry the weight of justice on our own. When someone hurts us, especially a narcissist who thrives on manipulation and control, it can feel as though the world is unfair, as though they have stepped outside the reach of consequence. But there is a higher order that sees everything, that notices each act of cruelty, each subtle undermining, each lie whispered in the shadows. Divine justice operates with a precision that human justice rarely achieves. It is not impulsive. It is not loud. It is not dependent on our timing or understanding. Every betrayal, every instance of exploitation is catalogued in the vast intelligence of the universe, and no act escapes notice. This awareness allows us to release the obsession with retaliation because we understand that the universe has a mechanism far more effective than our own impulses. In life, this often shows up in subtle ways. The narcissist who believed they could manipulate, harm, or control without consequence eventually faces the ripples of their actions. Opportunities may close for them that they expected to be open. Relationships may fracture under the weight of their dishonesty, and the truth they tried to conceal comes to light, often in ways that are unexpected yet perfectly timed. Observing this is not about schadenfreude or taking pleasure in their downfall, but about trusting that balance is inevitable. When we fixate on revenge, we tie ourselves to the energy of harm, and our own growth stalls. Divine justice reminds us that the universe has the final say, that the scales tip even when we cannot see them moving. For those who have been hurt, understanding this principle transforms the experience of pain into a process of empowerment. Instead of constantly calculating how to make the narcissist pay, we learn to focus on ourselves, on our healing, and on building a life that is unshakable. This does not negate the hurt. It does not erase the betrayal, but it reframes it. The universe acts not through our frustration or anger, but through natural consequences that align with truth. We can live our lives with integrity, with compassion for ourselves, and with confidence that those who have wronged us will encounter the consequences of their choices without us needing to intervene. Trusting in divine justice requires patience, and it requires surrender. It requires stepping back from the obsession with retaliation and stepping into the knowledge that every action, every deception, every harm done is seen and acknowledged by a force beyond human comprehension. This awareness transforms fear into calm, obsession into clarity, and pain into resilience. As we move through life with this understanding, we begin to notice patterns aligning, doors opening for us while closing for those who sought to keep us small, and a quiet satisfaction grows in knowing that justice is not absent. It is simply unfolding exactly As it should, betrayal cuts deep, especially when it comes from someone who was supposed to love, support, or respect us. When a narcissist deceives, manipulates, or abandons, the immediate reaction is often anger, hurt, and a desire to act in the moment. Yet there is immense power in restraint, in patience, in understanding that not every wrong needs a personal response. Letting a higher power take over does not mean ignoring injustice or pretending nothing happened. It means trusting that there is a force greater than human schemes, a force that sees every act, every hidden intention, and every consequence yet to unfold. This trust frees us from the exhausting cycle of plotting revenge or dwelling on pain. Patience in this context is not passive, it is active strength. It is the courage to step back while the narcissist continues in their ways, knowing that their actions are ultimately self-directed and will lead to outcomes they cannot fully control. By not reacting impulsively, we conserve our energy, preserve our integrity, and allow the natural order of justice to manifest without our interference. Each day of restraint is a reaffirmation that our worth and dignity are not defined by someone else's cruelty. In life, practicing patience transforms our perspective. It shifts the focus from the narcissist's power over us to our own power within us. We begin to see that every act of betrayal is not a call to fight, but an opportunity to rise above. Trusting in divine timing allows us to release the anxiety that comes from expecting immediate results or feeling the need to orchestrate payback ourselves. The universe has a rhythm, and those who harm will face the consequences when the moment is right, often in ways far more meaningful and complete than anything we could engineer. This approach also cultivates inner peace. By surrendering the need for immediate justice, we stop feeding the narcissist's influence over our emotions. Our energy shifts from anger and resentment to clarity, healing, and forward momentum. Life becomes less about monitoring the wrongs done to us, and more about building resilience, self-respect, and a life aligned with our values. Patience teaches us that control is an illusion when it comes to others' actions. Our responsibility is to ourselves, our healing, our growth, and our integrity. The narcissist's choices are theirs to bear, and divine timing ensures that every misstep, every manipulation, every lie will meet its natural consequence. Meanwhile, we continue to grow stronger, wiser, and more centered, experiencing a freedom that cannot be touched by the chaos they tried to impose. As we wait, as we trust, and as we hold our own hearts with care, the pattern becomes clear. Justice is unfolding in ways we do not need to chase, and the true victory lies in our ability to remain patient. An unshaken life often presents us with experiences that test our patience, our strength, and our faith in a higher order. When a narcissist has hurt us, their manipulation, deceit, and cruelty can leave deep emotional scars. The immediate temptation is to seek revenge, to force consequences that we are in our own hands, or to dwell in resentment. Yet there is a far greater force at work, one that ensures every action has a reaction, every lie encounters truth, and every harm meets consequence. Faith in this process allows us to release the burden of orchestrating justice ourselves and to trust that the universe has a natural way of balancing what has been disturbed. Karma is not a distant concept. It operates continuously and inevitably. Every choice the narcissist makes, every attempt to control, deceive, or exploit sets in motion forces that will eventually turn back toward them. This is not about wishing harm, but about recognizing the inevitability of consequences. When we observe life through this lens, we stop investing energy into bitterness and instead focus on our own growth, healing, and empowerment. Faith transforms our perspective. We begin to see that the pain inflicted upon us is not wasted, that every challenge can become a teacher, and that the narcissist's eventual reckoning is already unfolding, whether we witness it or not. Living with this awareness shifts our energy from revenge to self-preservation and self-enhancement. Instead of plotting retaliation, we cultivate our resilience, nurture our emotional health, and build a life that the narcissist's actions cannot touch. Every moment spent in fear, anger, or obsession is energy stolen from our own journey. Faith in karmic balance allows us to reclaim that energy, to live fully, and to thrive in ways that demonstrate our strength far more than any act of revenge ever could. The unfolding of consequences often comes in ways we do not immediately recognize. Relationships that the narcissist relied on may fracture, opportunities they expected may vanish, and the truth they tried to conceal inevitably emerges. The beauty of this process is that it is impartial and inevitable. It is precise, Masu, red, and just. When we surrender our need to control outcomes, we witness life's natural order asserting itself. This surrender is not weakness, it is the ultimate demonstration of strength and trust in a higher wisdom. Faith in karma encourages patience, detachment, and clarity. It teaches us that life has a way of correcting itself, and that those who sought to diminish us will ultimately encounter the fruits of their own choices. Meanwhile, we continue to grow, to flourish, and to rise above, experiencing a liberation that comes from knowing the universe handles what we cannot, and that the integrity of our journey remains untouched when we are hurt, especially by someone who thrives on manipulation, control, or emotional abuse. The instinct is often to respond immediately. The desire for revenge can feel urgent, as if acting on impulse will restore balance or give back the dignity we feel was stolen. Yet acting too soon often traps us in the very chaos the narcissist intended, prolonging pain and entangling us in a cycle of reactivity. True strength lies in prioritizing healing first, and trusting that justice or the right consequences will unfold in time. Healing is not a passive act, it is an active reclaiming of our power. It requires confronting our pain, understanding the ways we were affected, and tending to the wounds that the narcissist's actions inflicted. This process demands courage, reflection, and the willingness to nurture ourselves even when resentment and anger are loud. By focusing on healing first, we ensure that our future decisions come from clarity rather than impulsive emotion, from strength rather than weakness. It allows us to see the narcissist's actions with a perspective that is not clouded by fear or rage. Trusting divine timing shifts the responsibility of consequence from us to a higher order. There is wisdom in recognizing that Ife, in its vast intelligence, has a way of restoring balance that is often beyond our understanding. The narcissist's eventual reckoning may come through loss, exposure, or the natural consequences of their choices, and it will often be more complete than anything we could engineer ourselves. This understanding allows us to release the compulsion to act immediately, replacing it with patience, faith, and focus on our own growth. Healing first also means creating boundaries that protect us from further harm. It involves reclaiming our narrative, reinforcing our sense of self-worth, and building a life that reflects our values rather than the chaos imposed by someone else. The process of recovery strengthens resilience, sharpens intuition, and restores our ability to make decisions rooted in wisdom. Every step taken toward healing diminishes the power of the narcissist over our emotions and restores the energy that revenge would otherwise consume. By allowing ourselves the time and space to heal, we engage with life from a position of strength and clarity. Trusting the timing of divine justice frees us from the burden of immediate retaliation and allows us to cultivate a life that is meaningful, purposeful, and aligned with our integrity. When we prioritize healing over reaction, we step into a power that is untouchable, a calm certainty that comes from knowing that the universe handles what we cannot, and that our freedom, growth, and peace are secured in ways that impulsive action could never achieve in the journey of being hurt by those who seek to harm. The greatest strength we can cultivate is trust. Trust in ourselves, trust in our growth, and trust in a higher order that sees every wrong. The narcissist's actions may have shaken us, but they do not define us, nor do they hold the power to dictate our future. By allowing healing to come first, by practicing patience, and by surrendering the desire for immediate revenge, we reclaim our energy and step fully into our own power. Every act of harm they committed sets the stage for natural consequences, and divine timing ensures that balance will be restored, often in ways more complete than we could imagine. Our role is not to chase retaliation, but to live with integrity, resilience, and courage. The process of healing transforms pain into clarity, betrayal into wisdom, and injustice into empowerment. When we trust the universe, we free ourselves from obsession with the narcissist and focus on what truly matters: our growth, our peace, and our joy. In this space, we discover an unshakable truth. Those who sought to hurt us will face the outcomes of their choices, and we will rise beyond their reach, stronger, wiser, and more whole than ever.